Okay, in this one we're gonna see how you can monitor your sockets for certain events, like for example connecting, binding to an endpoint, when the handshake is made with, for example, curve, the curve encryption I covered a while ago. You can see if it failed or if it succeeded, and so on and so on. So anyway, I've taken the original example that I always use, so just a simple publisher and subscriber. We can see that the publisher works, the subscriber works in the other window. And so now let's try to monitor the publisher. So for that, the ZeroMQ provides a ZeroMQ socket monitor function, where you pass the socket you want to monitor, so the publisher. Then you set up an endpoint, which is gonna be where the events are published. The events are sent to, so it's gonna be, needs to be in proc. So in proc, my monitor, something like this. And the third event is a bit mask of the events you want to monitor. And in our case, we want to just monitor all of them. So ZeroMQ event all, like so. And so we will need another thread which will receive all the events and just print them, because why not? You can do anything on the events, but we do need something to receive them. So let's just call this monitor thread like this. Please thread create into the monitor thread like so, no attributes. The function will be called monitor routine, and we will pass the context as an argument. And I think that's it. We do need to join the thread after, like so. Let me copy paste the little monitor routine I made in my notes, because it's just slightly faster. So we have a monitor routine, we have a monitor socket. The socket is of type pair, and we're gonna connect it to the endpoint we declared here. And let's just give it a timeout so that I can cleanly stop the application. So that's just gonna be a little timeout of 100 milliseconds, nothing fancy. So while the application is running, let's receive some events, like so, ZeroMQ message event. It's gonna be an event, message like so, ZeroMQ message init, in the event message like so. And let's receive it from the monitor socket. Yes, 0 points. So the way it's structured is that an event is a multi-part message, where the first part is an event, a value, and the second part is an address. So the address is just the concerned endpoint. The event is the event type, and the value is some particular value. For example, on the listen event, it will return you the file descriptor on which it's listening. For some other stuff, it's some other value. So let's just also check the return code. If it's equal to -1, we want to continue, just so that if there is a timeout, we stop the thread. Like so, we want to do ZeroMQ close monitor as well. Boom, boom, boom. And so we'll have another message, which is going to be the address message, like so. And let's not bother checking the return type for this one. We need to close the message. Address message and the event message. Like so I will copy paste the parsing of the event, because it's quite boring. So basically you have a uint 16, you have a bunch of bytes in that message, and the first two are the event code, the next 4 are the value associated with this event code, and then I created this very tiny lookup table just so that it can be printed, but basically I'm just mapping an event to its stringified version of it, just so that we can see which events came on the socket. And this is all the events that are available. As you can see, there is a connected, and the most, well, I mean, it's good that you know when it's connected, but I think the most useful ones are in case of errors or weird behavior, like connect delayed, connect retry, bind failed, because all of those are by default silent. So it's quite hard to debug a ZeroMQ application sometimes because it just says nothing, does nothing, and you don't know why. The handshake failed is especially nice when you're messing around with curve encryption, because it tells you, oh, did the handshake failed for curve and so on. So anyway, this is our events in and the value. Let's very quickly also copy paste how I get the address. The address is not null terminated, so I have to do a little strand up, but that's not too bad. Let's free the address since it was mallocked, and let's just print all of this. So I just print the event string, the value, and the address. Nothing fancy. And so that's all, I think. Yeah, I joined the thread. Let's start this again. And you can see that now, when I start the publisher, the subscriber auto-connects because the subscriber is still running in the other window, of course. And we can see that it starts by listening, it accepted the client. I think this is the file descriptor. I don't know what this is for. The handshake succeeded and so on and so on. And if I kill the subscriber, we will see that it received an event disconnected for this client and so on and so on. So yeah, I mean, you can probably guess what, you can play around and see what the other events do and so on. I would recommend, just if you have a large application, to just have this whole logic kind of encapsulated in one function and so on. And the very basic should be that you just at least print an error message whenever you hit like a failed or a retried and so on and so on. So just warning and error logs will go a long way if you're trying to make your application a bit more, I don't know, verbose. So yeah, anyway, that's all for the ZeroMQ monitor thing. They have another weird thing. I think that might be one of the ugliest thing I've seen in ZeroMQ. I mean, there isn't much, but I mean, this one is very weird. They have this ZeroMQ socket monitor version, which is like the same, but somehow they decided that the API of their library should be version with an argument and not just the version number of the library, which I don't understand at all. But yeah, and I mean, okay, if you do need to use it, there is some like additional events where it gives you statistics about how many messages and how much bytes were transmitted, I think. I don't know, I've never used this, but you can get that as well. So anyway, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.